Now, I want to have I've got a wood grain floor, so I want to have quite a strong shadow here in my brown. And again, you know, I don't have to be so careful with it. I can be a little bit more. That's my dark here, my darkest dark. Not my darkest brown. I have a darker brown, but I think I'll put the dark brown on my baggie. And any piece of plastic will do. Some people use their set squares. I don't think that's a good idea. As I said before, it's pretty dirty work, and it makes your set square sticky, and yeah, so don't do that. But any sort of, this is just a sandwich baggie. So I can make it a little darker, and I can start to introduce some wood grain now. I'm just twirling my marker. I'm sticking to my bag. I have to be careful. And I should probably go a little bit darker with the wood grain inside the shadow. Because it will look more translucent, more transparent, if you can see the shadow. I'm going to start where my shadow is and pull out there, that way. I don't mind if the shadow gets a little darker. That's not a problem. And there are reflections always on a hardwood floor. Now this is my light tan, so I just want to go a little bit darker here where the chair is. So even with carpeting, you start a little bit darker right next to your important objects, and then you let it taper off as it goes away. This is my sand. And it goes right through the shadow. What's very important to remember, and is another difficult thing to get across, is that the shadow cast by the object takes on the color of the surface it's sitting on. So it's not a red shadow for the red chair. It's a brown shadow for the brown wood. Now this is my darker one, and always on floor plans you have reason to make it just a little more contrasty next to your furniture, because they will have little shadows under them and the color is more aggressive there. So, and now my actual shadow, I can use my sienna brown, and I'll add a little bit of the other. And this isn't a bad way to start, actually, with your shadows, and then build up to your lights, because you'll end up leaving your lights a little lighter. Whatever way helps you to build up the sort of contrast that you want and the sort of finish that you want. You have to kind of have the finish in your mind's eye, and that'll get easier every time you do it. But it's still nice to be surprised. But you don't want shock. Just a little surprise is always good. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of wood grain in here. Now this is a floor plan, and these are usually so tiny, but you can add some of these things, and that will help as well. So the grain is darker inside the shadow than it is in the light. But I can take my sienna brown now and put a little bit more wood grain out here. I dropped my marker. That's all right. It doesn't matter. because I have that thick, those big outlines on my chair. I could even make them stronger, but let me see what happens. Now, I'm gonna take my orange, just my orange, I'm gonna check it on a piece of paper and make sure when you do that, that you use the paper that you're working on, and not only that, but you put a piece of paper underneath it, because these markers bleed through. They're very wet. So now I'm going to leave that white key line and a little key line here if I can perfect my aim a little bit. And it's okay that I see my strokes. I'm on marker paper, so I can blend a little bit. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of red and put a little bit of contrast. My orange is too dry, so as I say, if you have a big important job on, you want to make sure that you have extras of the markers that you're using, and they won't go to waste. They never go to waste. You'll use them all up because they're probably colors that you like. So I'm gonna go a little darker in here and a little darker behind here. Oh, and there's shadow there. So now I can get my red out. I haven't done any red yet. That really wasn't shadow, but I thought it looked like it needed a little accent. And I'm going to put some more of my brown on the bag. And there. And I think I might go back with my orange, and since this is lit, it's all lit up, but I think it just needs a little bit more punch to set it up. So I'm going to do that. And now my cushion, I have the light tan stripes to start with. And then I have the light green. And the red. Now it didn't, this red kind of stuck out quite a bit, so I have to be careful with that. But I wouldn't mind a little bit of just the raw red. So as I say, you do all of your thinking and planning, but then in the end, it's how it looks that matters. And if this stands off well enough off the page, and I think that it needs a little bit thicker outline, so that's what I would do. Just outline it a little bit thicker.